Imagine a conscious contact with God so strong that no matter what you are doing or not doing, that no matter what your kids are up to or not up to, and that whether you've got the person of your dreams or they're just not cooperating, that you are happy, content, and at peace. A space where everyone else's thoughts, attitudes, and actions are beautiful and exactly as they are supposed to be. Well, this is the space where I like to play. My name is Misha Z, and this is today's Bitch Slap. Join me as I shed light on the thoughts, actions, and attitudes that are causing you pain, and we train our minds to go to the capital S inner self, the joy that is waiting for us, the God within.
Alrighty, I'm sure the anticipation is thick for this Do the Dishes for God episode. I am going to tell you the story. It is from my late teens and early 20s. John B., my first mentor in recovery. I actually was going to tell another story real quick before I got to that. And here's what that was. I'm going to cop to a little bit of bad behavior. So, part of my journey is trying to do things legit. Can I just be legit? Oh my gosh. A lot of my history has definitely been for, learning how to work the system. I don't know what's so funny about that. I mean, some people work the system and go to jail and stuff like that. It's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, I don't know, is that what an entrepreneur does? You find out what the rules are and then you're like, how do I break them without going to jail? All right, I'm gonna have to frame that because this is not turning out well. But when I worked at Wells Fargo Home Mortgage, part of what made me very good was learning how the systems worked within Wells Fargo Home Mortgage, and then pushing the envelope of the systems, right? Wells Fargo's got a massive customer base. And so if you can learn how to, maximize the lead flow and get on the right this, that, and the other thing, or, I could go on and on. But just know that that's one of the things I was good at. And sometimes you could get your hand slapped. So, all right, I might have to tell a story about it. I swear I'm going to get to do the dishes for God. But so, for example, when you sent out flyers at Wells Fargo Home Mortgage, and I was kind of ignorant to this at the time. So this was a while ago. This was back, when did I start with them? 2001, Wells Fargo Home Mortgage. Many things were coming together for me. My marketing savvy, my telemarketing skills, my tech skills, my customer, database skills, digging for data skills. And so I was really good at getting data, finding the names, sifting out who I wanted to get letters to, marketing material to hopefully get the phone ring of people who would want a home mortgage. So the great thing about working for a big bank is big banks. So there's Chase, there's, Wells Fargo, there's Citibank, there's go down the list, Bank of America. Working for those home mortgage arms is that you've got a great brand name, which can be extremely powerful. And so I was really good at leveraging the Wells Fargo Home Mortgage brand name and the goodwill. Wells Fargo Home Mortgage, as far as the mortgages companies are concerned, has a ton of goodwill. And that's very valuable. And so Wells Fargo Home Mortgage, as you would expect, has a whole process for getting your flyers approved or your marketing materials, your brochures, call them what you will. They don't want you just, I like to call it bootlegging. So I would just bootleg flyers. I would mock up these flyers and slap the Wells Fargo Home Mortgage logo on it. And I was always ethical, telling the truth, doing good work. The issue is that what Wells Fargo Home Mortgage was that any mortgage company, I can't remember who the oversight people are of the mortgage industry, but you need to have disclosures, lots of financial disclosures on these flyers. And when you're bootlegging them, heck, a lot of times you leave those off. I didn't know any better. And so I'd bootleg these flyers. I was having a ton of success. And then what happens is you start having enough success, flyer gets in the wrong hands, which is usually another loan officer at Wells Fargo Home Mortgage or a manager. And they're like, hey, these are bootlegged. What are you doing? So that's how I would push the envelope. And it was very interesting. Things like that, right? Like, what is it? Ask for forgiveness instead of permission. That was my forte. And bosses loved me for that and hated me for that. And so I had this amazing fear that it was very interesting the way it worked out. I was like, Wells Fargo's so restrictive. There's no way they'll let me work with my ideas. So better to bootleg than to ask for permission. My hand finally got slapped. I was having enough success. They're like, you got to go through the proper channels. And I had these incredible fears. And what happened was when I went through the proper channels for the marketing and worked with the marketing group and worked with the mailer group and did all this stuff, it worked very well. And I was legit all of a sudden. It was a powerful lesson for me. Oh my God. I hated cheating in high school. Never did it. I swear to you, I never did. The one time I did do it, I was like one time, I don't know why, what came over me, but I was like, I'll have a cheat sheet. And the history teacher, when I was leaving class that day, he said, yeah, you're probably going to take your cheat sheet and chew it up and swallow it, which is exactly what I'd done. So he'd seen me and he didn't, and I didn't get in trouble. Isn't that funny? Anyway, this is really funny. It looks like my Do the Dishes for God episode. You're going to have to wait for another day. Anyhow, the flyers. So they were done properly. I was able to have a lot of success and follow the rules. And, the other part was I was really scared about having my addresses scrubbed against the internal Wells Fargo database. So they don't want you to mail to other Wells Fargo loan officers' customer base, right? And initially I didn't care. I was like, I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. And Wells Fargo was like, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. And I was like, all right. But what I found my niche was that pull out all the Wells Fargo loans. And what I did was I marketed to the other big banks. So I marketed to the other big banks' customer base, pulling them to Wells Fargo. And I got really good at it. And so Wells Fargo loved me because I had gone legit. I was having my lists scrubbed. against the internal database. And actually, I just stopped pulling Wells Fargo data. I was like, but whatever, I still had them scrubbed so I could check that box. I had the flyers made properly with the proper disclosures added. I went through the proper mailing channels, and I thrived. So that was one example of where I was perhaps not legit and went legit. That was in my youth. My God, that was a long time ago by now, almost 20 years ago. Holy mackerel. There you go. There's some more stories for you. I will get to the do the dishes for God the next episode. Love to all. My path to legitimacy for pure service. Really, I'm just trying to purely be of service. My path to legitimacy and service. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for spending time with me today. As someone who is committed to growth and service to this world, I so appreciate your willingness to come with me, go within, and serve our world through change. If you found value in this podcast and you know someone who can use this message, share this episode with them. Share it so our mission can be achieved one episode at a time. And of course, subscribe so you can hear more. And lastly, for more resources on what has helped me on my journey and can help you on yours, go to belove.media/resources. That's BELOVE.media/resources. Thank you again for listening.